Hey teachers, it's Nadine. So I'm going to be giving you an overview with Google Read and Write. And before we get started with that, I wanted to make sure that you actually have the Chrome extension. So up at the top of your Chromebook, up at the top of your device, up here next to the Chrome URL bar up here, I have a list of Chrome extensions. Now, an extension means that it's something that was designed that will specifically work inside of Google Chrome. So that's what Google Read and Write is. If you do not see the purple puzzle piece with RW, before you automatically think, oh, well, I don't have it, I want you to check. There's a little puzzle piece over here to the side. And when I tap it, it shows all of the extensions that I have through Google Chrome. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to make sure that I might actually have Read and Write for Google Chrome on here. And I do. And if you have it pinned, it means that you're going to see it in that little toolbar. If you don't have it pinned, then it'll be on this list, but it won't be visible at the top. So what I always tell people is go to the little puzzle piece that's over there and make sure that you pin Read and Write for Google Chrome on there. Now, if you guys are working with students and the students have Read and Write for Google Chrome, make sure that it's pinned for them as well. Okay? All right, so that's making sure that you have the extension. Now I want to make sure that you understand how to use all of the different tools that are inside of it. What I'm showing you right now is actually something that I have created. I created it a couple years ago, and it's basically like a cheat sheet for Google Read and Write. And I try to cover all of these different topics so that even though you might be watching this PD today, you're going to come back to it and say, oh my gosh, how did she say to do that? And don't worry, because I've got everything in here step by step and so on. So don't worry about that. Okay? But let's dive into using the toolbar. Whenever you want to activate the Google Read and Write toolbar, you're going to tap on the puzzle piece and then it's going to kick in. And it might take it just a moment to pop up, but right up here is actually the toolbar that you see. Now, the cool part about Read and Write for Google is the fact that I can use it in any Google product. I can use it in Google Slides, Google Docs, Google Sheets, any of that. And we'll go through and kind of show, because depending upon the Google product, it will do. Some of them have very robust things that it does, and then in other things you might not get the full gamut of options, if that makes sense. It also works with any website, okay? So I'm going to give you a demo of that. So rather than starting in Google Slides, I opened up a Google Doc, and inside of this Google Doc, I just picked one at random here. It's the Canvas Skyward grade passback checklist. Notice that you don't see the toolbar, okay? I was just in Google Slides, and because I tapped the puzzle piece, it appeared. Okay, if I toggle back over to this tab, it's still there because that was in Google Slides, all right? But we're gonna go to Google Docs, and if you're like, wait, where did the toolbar go? It's because I'm in Google Docs now and I have to activate the toolbar again. So I'm gonna tap on the puzzle piece again, and it's probably, yeah, there we go. It takes just a moment again for it to pop up. And the easiest one to start out with is Google Docs. And quite frankly, that's one that kids are using quite a bit. And so I want to kind of walk you through what your options are. So here's the toolbar. If I hover over something, then it's going to tell me what it is. But I want to kind of give you a demo of what these tools are capable of, just so that you know. If I tap the tool one time, so like if I tap check it here, it's actually taking a look at what I have in a document, and it's scanning it to see if there's anything that could be potentially wrong. Now notice it's underlining for me where I've got, like my little lightning bolt and FTCSC, like it's not recognizing that. So that's why it's underlining it. When I'm done with prediction or check it, I can just check it again. When I tap on the tool again, then it stops using it. When you're using a tool, it will have a little purple line underneath it. So I'll show you again. Underneath here, it's got that little purple line. Sorry, I've got some hiccups going on. All right, so that was check it. All right, so the next one is prediction. So let's say that my cursor is here and I'm trying to type something. And if I turn on prediction, what it will do when I tapped it there, because my cursor was after the word remember, Google Read Write is actually trying to predict what should my next word be. And so if I go ahead and tap on one of these, this is kind of cool. I didn't even tap on it. I just hovered.
When.
And it's actually going to say it for me. So that's pretty cool. If I tap it, then it's actually going to type it. Until I turn prediction off, it's going to continue the process, which is really helpful for those students that need that capability. So if I am done with that and I don't need it on there anymore, then again, I'm going to tap on prediction again, and then now it's turned off. And this is definitely something that you can practice with kids. I'll show you at the end of this an activity that I created to help kids out. So the next one is dictionary. So on dictionary, if I tap it, because my cursor was at remember, that's why it's looking that word up if I need a dictionary for it. If I X out of that, anywhere that I move my cursor, it's then going to keep accessing the dictionary. So the kid can, let's say that there's something that they're asking it to read, or there's a text that they're trying to go through and they're like, I don't get it. I don't understand that word. I need a definition. Then they can actually use that. Okay?
Assignments.
And as I tap on this.
Noun. The act of putting a person into a non-elective position. The appointment had to be approved by the whole committee, end quote.
Now, again, if I want it to stop speaking, then I can tap on it again. So that's what's nice, is not only does it tell you, but it would actually read it to you. But again, you may need to demo that for the kids so that they understand that that's something that they can use the tool for. Okay? The next one is picture dictionary. And this one is really cool because I'm going to highlight the word assignment, and then I'm going to tap on picture dictionary and show you what it does. Anytime that I have a word selected, it will automatically look to see if it can find a picture that goes along with it. This has been really handy for teachers whenever they're trying to create different assignments for students. And if they need to have those pictures in something, the way I think of it is, you guys might be familiar with Board Maker. That's something that when I was a teacher in the classroom that I remember that students needed to use Board Maker. And so then it would have, the same focus as that. Okay. So now, if I press play, it's going to start.
For more detailed information, please refer.
Now, what it did was it started reading out loud anywhere that I had my cursor. So if I want it to start at the beginning, then I'm going to first stop it because it was mid into it. And I'm going to make sure my cursor is at the top of this. Okay, so now.
Use this checklist as a guide to properly configure your Canvas assignments so that grades from Canvas can be successfully passed back to Skyward.
Now, notice I can pause it.
For more detailed information.
I didn't hit it hard enough. I can pause it and I can pick back up. So like if a student needs to hear something and then they need it to stop because they need to jot down some notes and then they need it to continue on, that's what they can do. When you're done, then you're just going to hit stop. Okay. The next one that is on here is screenshot reader. So if I had a screenshot of something, I'm sure you guys have seen this a lot. If a teacher has an image that has text on it, then when we hit Screenshot Reader, it will actually read the text that's on it. Now, I am going to caution you this because I know that I've had people that have told me this before. With Screenshot Reader, I know that we have some textbooks that have a lot of images layered with the text. Screenshot Reader works best when it doesn't have images layered in with it. So some of our textbooks may look kind of like a magazine where it's got like images layered all over it and then text on top. And it's hard for a screen reader to distinguish the difference between the image and the text. So that's why if you were a teacher with us last year, I was really pushing for our teachers to not use that option, and that they need not use the option where it's got like a bunch of pictures and text. If they're going to use Screenshot Reader, then the text has to be literally just text. It can't have a bunch of images layered within it. Okay? Audio Maker. So if I tap on Audio Maker, it's going to actually give me an option. And I actually wanted to pop over to the little guide that I made. So with the Audio Maker, like it says here, the user could create a computer-generated audio file of a selected text on the web or in a file. So basically, if you want to actually create that computer-generated version, then you can tap on that button and it'll do that for you. Okay, so the next tool is actually one that says web search. And what it's telling you is that if I was going to highlight a word, like the word guide here, and if I hit web search up here at the top, it would actually go out and find information related to that word. I'll go ahead and tap it just so you have an idea. So see how it's looking up the word and it's finding the definition and so on, just so that you see what that does whenever you tap it. Okay. So the next thing that I wanted to show you was Screen Mask, and this is actually really cool. I think a lot of kids like to use it. With a Screen Mask, the student can actually glide through. They can glide through a text, and it makes it a lot easier for them to be able to see what's on a screen. This same tool works on, something like Google Slides. So I'm going to actually switch over here to my Google Read and Write presentation, and I want to show you the same thing. So again, here's the screen masking, and I can have that. At this point, the only difference that you're going to see between Google Slides and Google Docs is whenever it was Google Docs, it had the check mark for check it. So in other words, if the student is typing something, it's got kind of like a little grammar checker that's in there, like a spell check. And on Google Slides, they don't have that capability to have that in there. So I just wanted to highlight on that. So on here, the talk and type, that's nice, especially for Google Slides, because let's say that I wanted to insert a text box and I selected that. I can be talking and it will be typing. Now in Google Docs, if you did not know, you actually have that ability to talk and type already on the tools menu inside of Google Docs. So down here, it actually has voice typing. And so, you can use Google Read and Write to do the same concept, but I just wanted to let you know that Google Docs does the same thing. Google Slides, however, does not have that ability where you can record your voice. Okay. When I'm on here, the translator option is pretty cool because when I tap on it, it can actually give me the option of translating something into a different language. Now, I have it tapped up there by FTCSC. But again, I want to remind you that I know that that's a great tool that they have in ReadWrite, but if it's Google Docs, you already have that ability to do that inside of here. it actually has translate document, and it's got a buku different languages that you can choose from. So you can use Google Read Write for that. I would imagine that more often than not, you guys are tending to use the prediction, the check it, the dictionary, the picture dictionary, anything that's able to read text out loud, the screenshot reader, the masking. To me, those are probably some of the most popular tools that you're using out of this. Now, the highlight tool is actually pretty cool because, and I'm going to demonstrate now because I've been showing you in docs and in slides how this works. I'm going to actually go out to a website. And again, if I'm using a different tool, so I was in docs, I was in slides, now I'm on a website. If I'm on a website, I have to activate the toolbar again. So let's say the student is out on a website and they want to be able to use some tools on here. I have the ability. I'm going to actually start on play. I'll let it get started here. You know what? I bet I have to highlight it. It's been a moment.
Samuel Ramsey, or Dr. Sammy, works for the United States Department of Agriculture. He's an entomologist.
Now, I wanted you to catch what I did because I would imagine that you have made this mistake as well. If the student opens up the article and they just simply press play, it doesn't do anything. So what they have to do is they have to actually highlight it for it to begin to read that. Now, I'll tell you a trick that I use on my Chromebook because that's what I'm on right now. If I tap 2 times with my finger, it only highlights a word. If I tap 3 times with my finger, it will highlight a whole paragraph. And so that's helped out a lot of teachers and students. So again, I just highlighted that. Actually, I'll come down here. And if I need to have this.
1. How did you become an entomologist? I have been interested in entomology since I was a little kid.
Now, notice right there, it had to have a starting point to know where to read aloud in the article, but once it gets started, it just keeps going. So you just have to have something highlighted for it to get started. If you don't have anything highlighted, then it's not going to know where you want to start. Okay? But one of the really cool things is that I can actually come out and I can highlight things. Oh, I got to get it turned on again. Okay, so I played around with this for a minute because I wanted to make sure that I was telling you guys the right way to use the highlighter. So on here, if I'm a kid, I'm out on a website and I want to collect notes. Hey, my teacher told me I need to go out and find research, so I found something that I want to use. The kid has to actually highlight a section, and then they can go out and then tap on the highlighter. What I was trying to do earlier was I was trying to tap the highlighter, then do it, and it doesn't work that way. So you have to highlight what you want and then select the highlighter. So now this time I'm going to highlight a section that's here, and let's say I wanted that one in green. Okay, so you've got 4 different highlight options, but then notice my Siri just kicked in. But then you also have the option of clearing highlights. So if you highlighted something and then you think about it and you're like, you know what, I really didn't want that one. Just hitting clear is not doing anything. Notice I'm just hitting it. So what I have to do is I have to triple tap again on the section. Now when I hit clear, it takes it off. Okay. So if I want to take out one word and I don't need that highlighted anymore, I can go out to here and take that out. If I tap 3 times again, then it'll highlight that whole section. And if I'm like, you know what, I don't need that highlighted, then I can. Now, you may have already seen this, but I'm going to go back and highlight a few things here. So I wanted to get a few things. highlighted. I just randomly picked some things. But one of the cool things that I really like about ReadWrite is that if a kid's doing research, they can tap on this collect highlights. And when they tap on it, it's like, hey, what colors do you want? And it's automatically going to pick all 4. I've only used 2 of them. And so now when I click OK, it says a new document containing your highlights is being created. And this is one of the cool things that I like. And so it's taking just a moment here because it's authenticating my account. So let's wait here just a moment. So it just pulled all of those highlights in here. And now that it has the yellow highlights and it also has the blue highlights, the other thing that I really like about this is not only does it pull in the highlights, but it also pulls in what article it was, and it's got, you know, my email listed there, but it's actually going to pull in the source. So if at any time, and even if a kid goes in and they delete that off, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I totally did that on my own. A teacher could go into, or you could go into file revision history, and you can see actually where the article came from. Just so that you see that that's another option of something that you can use in here. So it's also got vocabulary, you know, where you can create different things. It's got a way to simplify a page. So let's say that there is a lot of busyness all over the website, which this one's actually pretty clear for what I see on here. But let's pretend that it had a bunch of stuff on it. What it's doing is it's taking a look at that web page, and it's now going to make it so that it's a lot more user friendly for the student. So of course it's taking just a moment, so I'm not quite sure why it's doing that. So we're going to let it sit for just a second. I'll pause it. Okay, so as you can probably still tell, it still says loading. Now, where I pulled this text from was Time for Kids. And I'm glad that I'm having these issues too, because I can show you kind of like what I do whenever I experience this. So there could be the option that if I'm trying to simplify a web page, my guess is that number one, Time for Kids already had it very simplified. There wasn't much that was on here. So they're probably like, how much more simple can we make it? Because it was already pretty simple. Also, you could come across a website that doesn't want to give you that ability. Because I can tell you when I first went out to this article on Time for Kids, it was actually saying to me, like, am I an educator? Am I a student? You know, do I already get a subscription to this? If there's a lot of layers like that, that would be my guess as to why this still says loading and why it's not being so user friendly, because it's not just as simple as just clicking on that button and it's just going to poof change that article. It's trying to go through those other layers at the same time. So if that happens, go out and find a different article that goes along with that same topic. Okay? The one that I tell all teachers to really stay away from is the one on the end that's like the practice reading aloud. And that's because it ties into another product of text help. And it's another one that we don't pay for. So I hate that they put it on the toolbar, but we can't take it off. So this was in a nutshell, me showing you what it looks like on all of these. I know that you're probably going to have additional questions regarding this. Remember that I still have this little cheat sheet to help you out on here that's going to help you out with doing that. If you have a student and you're trying to teach them how to use Google Read and Write, I also created this activity. Let me get back to the beginning slide. This activity will actually help walk a kid through how to use Google Read and Write. I made it fun. I really geared it towards, you know, kids at the upper grade levels, and I thought, they're probably like, great, I got to learn how to use a screen reader. And so when I did the activity, I tried to use funny, articles. So I picked stuff about farts and poop because I knew that kids that age would like it. So this is designed that honestly, that you could actually give the kid this, like you could make sure that Google Read and Write is activated, and you can make sure that they've actually tapped on it so that it's up and ready to go. But the kid can actually go through the lesson. And the way that I've designed it, it's like, hey, did you know you could use Google Read and Write with Google Docs? So here's me giving a little lesson, and I'm saying tap on the document, and then I'm going to tell you to do certain things to the document to try to mimic what a teacher might have them do. And again, the whole point of this is so that they can learn the process of how to use the tool. Okay, so at the end of this PD, actually, since I'm going to be recording this and I'll add it to my YouTube channel, I will include the link to this activity on the description in the YouTube video, and I will also include the link to the overview to Google Read and Write, so that way you guys have access to all of it. I'm sure, like I said earlier, you're going to have more questions about this. Hey, I've tried to use it in this application and it was giving us problems or something like that. For those types of specific questions, make sure to let Sharon know or let me know so that I can try to assist you guys as needed. All right.